Hello, everybody. Welcome to this session about Microsoft 365 Copilot from the Inform team. I'm Mark Thompson, and this is
Kirsty. Hi.
Kirsty. Hi. So, Kirsty, I think we should just get straight into it, but I will say we're going to have a chat about Copilot, but we should keep it at quite a high level because we could probably talk about this for days. And a lot of stuff is changing quite quickly. So we'll give quite a nice high level overview because all the detail will come out further down the line. So why don't you kick us off by telling us what is Copilot?
Or can I just say, in other words, Mark might bore us, so we're going to keep it nice and brief.
Yeah, because I'll talk about it for days. And Kirsty, if you hear Kirsty like give me a little clap, it's like, come on, let's go, because I'll just keep talking about it. So Kirsty's here to keep me on track.
So, what did you ask me then? What is Copilot?
So I would like you to tell the people what is Copilot.
Okay. So, in simplest terms for myself, it's a workflow tool that's embedded in a series of apps, being Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, and so on. So it's this tool that's embedded in Microsoft apps. And essentially, it's going to allow us to automate a bunch of tasks really cleverly using businesses, documents, and data. That's all I can say, Mark.
Okay, so it's a Microsoft thing for Office using AI. Right.
Exactly.
How long's this been around, and what's this AI part of it?
So March the 16th, Microsoft did unveil this Copilot with regard to this AI-powered apps. Do we have a date? Not as yet. I will warn you on that. But it's how I see it is, and how I've read about it, it's powered by OpenAI's GPT-4 model. Hold on for a sec. And the new AI tool will be embedded in all of Microsoft applications like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. So it's like having your own digital personal assistant. But I don't really understand what GPT is. So when we say GPT-4 model, I haven't got a clue, Mark.
All right. So let's just talk about that for a second. So this kind of broke out, became like more mainstream at the end of last year. I remember seeing it on a YouTube channel I watched. I remember thinking it was probably the biggest jump in IT I'd seen in a decade, and I was probably understating it saying that. So there's a company called OpenAI, who Microsoft quite cunningly own 49% of. They invested in them. That's why Microsoft seems to have got a jump on everyone else on this technology. But the chat bit is the interactions, and then the GPT is the generative pre-trained transformer. So you're having this interaction. So you put your query in. So based on the way the system was pre-trained on its data or on its material, it will then try to interact with you in a human way. And trying to keep it nice and simple, what I think this Copilot is it's got an element of the chat, but also that ability and that logic has been applied to tasks.
Okay.
Would that do?
Okay. Yeah, no, it does. It does.
Okay.
And apparently, this does make me laugh, makes me chuckle. Microsoft's creators have said this is going to become the most powerful productivity tool on the planet. And that's a pretty big statement.
Yeah.
Hey ho.
I'm smiling, Kirsty, because I'm nearly 50 years old, right? And I've been around IT for a while. I think I've heard that statement so many times. So give us an idea of what gives them, why they're saying this.
Okay, so I'll just give you a few examples and then we'll get into the nitty gritty. But a couple of things that Copilot can do. So the first thing is, let's imagine we're in Teams. It can create and summarize actionable tasks in a Teams meeting. It will manage your inbox in Outlook, which I'm really looking forward to. It can also in Excel create apparently stunning data. That's their words. And it can also analyze.
There's no such thing as stunning data. I apologize if I offended anybody, but
apparently there is an Excel.
It's a big claim, Kirsty.
Exactly. You'll this. It creates PowerPoint slides for you and a whole range of different things in PowerPoint.
See, PowerPoint slides can be stunning. I'm not sure about data.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, they don't use the words when I looked at all of this. They didn't use the word stunning. So for PowerPoint,
Anyway,
apologies.
go on.
And I suppose another one, because I like Word, but can even write, edit, and also summarize text in Word. So there's loads it can do.
Cool, cool. I saw a conversation on Twitter earlier, asking is it one Copilot or lots of Copilots? Is it
Okay,
like
yeah.
yeah? So I'm not trying to answer that now, but it's like, is there Copilot or is there lots of little Copilots with all the applications? So I'm not trying to answer that now, but there's lots of interesting chat about this. Okay, Kirsty, you got me. I'm in. I'd like it, please. How do I get it? Can I have it now?
No.
Okay.
Hence the reason we can't demo it. No.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's going to be a release date sometime this summer. I presume it's this summer, not next.
Yeah. Okay. So just to expand on that a little bit, it was to see where Microsoft are. So they initially trialed it with 20 enterprise customers, so their biggest customers, like they're super customers, and they've since rolled it out. Invitation only to 600 companies to take part in the initial stage, and they said would you like to try this, and you can pay us for the privilege, which I thought was genius on their part.
Yeah, very clever.
So I think we're going to revisit that later maybe, but talking about people paying for the privilege of trying it for Microsoft, is it going to be free or have a cost? What's the situation with that?
Again, I'm not giving you much info here, but unfortunately, we don't know. Microsoft apparently have released a statement. I say apparently because I haven't seen it, but apparently have released a statement saying the specifics on pricing and licensing will be shared soon. But how much, until Microsoft makes an official statement, we can only speculate, really.
Yeah, so what I've noticed recently, I'm sure others have as well, is the extent to which some of the more interesting features for Teams, for example, is going into Teams Premium. And I wouldn't be surprised to see them release this across Microsoft 365 at a very basic level. Okay, at a very basic level, and then there'll be a premium license that unlocks all the other stuff. So, for example, there's Microsoft Teams new meeting recap. It gives you a nice simple recap. But if you want the really good stuff, like the interpretation of what was said, then you need premium Teams for that, which is like you can start to see this creeping in. So we'll see. I think we'll see 2 tiers of it.
It was like Visio and Project. You had to pay licensing for those, didn't you?
Yeah. So, but I think you'll see a split tier for this. Anyway, okay. So let's move along. So there's going to be sort of like two flavors of this, and one will be business chat, where I can say. Let's say I'm saying to Microsoft 365, what's happened across my XYZ project since I've been away, and then it can look at my emails, my chats, project plans, and it can keep me up, get me up to date with something. I can ask it to summarize, summarize all changes to documents about the XYZ customer, and it can do that. It'll give me an overview of what's happening with this. Okay, so that is a chat that looks across Microsoft 365.
Okay.
And it keeps me up to date. As if, just like I was chatting to you, let's say we're working closely together. I come back in the office, I would ask you questions about where we are. Yeah, and it would be the same as that. And then there's the other flavor. What's the other flavor, Kirsty?
So, from what I understand, the other flavor is Copilot will work alongside you. So let's say we use Word, we use Outlook, Teams, PowerPoint, and so many more applications, but physically Copilot will work with you in each and every application. So I suppose that comes back to your co-pilots. Do you have co-pilots or a co-pilot? But yes, so it's going to be an entirely new experience, they say.
Okay, so we got Copilot embedded in the actual applications, what we think of it as like traditional Office plus some of the newer stuff. Okay, let's explore this. Why don't you kick us off by telling us about some of the magic coming to Word?
I'm doing Word because I prefer Word, don't I? Than you, so.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Word is somewhere where you can write some stuff, and there are loads of spare buttons at the top that don't do anything.
If only. So, Copilot in Word. It's going to be able to write for us. It's going to be able to summarize. And it's also going to be able to edit our information in Word. Really, really clever stuff. We can get it so it can create a first draft for us. So it might be the case we need to bring in information from different parts of the organization. We can do that and it will bring it in and draft a document for us within Word. We can also get it to add content to existing documents. Now, this is good because I could find somebody's document that I think, yep, it's nearly there, but I need a little bit more information in, and I can get Copilot to then add in additional information into there. I can get it to summarize text. I can get it to rewrite sections or even create a document and just make it a little bit more concise because, again, my grammar's not the best, I have to say, when creating documents. You can even get it and tell it what tone you want. So do you want the writing to be informal or do you want the writing to be formal within Word? Again, all very good stuff. So it should help you to improve your writing and it will give you suggestions where it feels perhaps there are some inconsistencies. So to give you a couple of examples then before I bore you, Mark, because I'm sure I've bored you already.
Too late for that, so you carry on.
We could have, for example, a 3-page document and I want, or I'm creating a project proposal and I could get Microsoft to physically, via Copilot, draft a 3-page proposal for me. And it can even use information from other applications that I suggested earlier. We can get it so it just goes and looks at my 4th paragraph in the document and makes it more concise and changes the tone of that document to be perhaps a bit more informal or formal. Or I could get it just to create a 3-page draft based on a rough outline that I've already created. But that's what Copilot's going to do in Word. So that's quite a lot of things it's going to do in Word and will save people so much time.
Yeah, I like the idea. So the one demo I saw was the presenter sent it off to these other documents to come back and produce a document based on that. And she quite clearly said it's a draft for you then to work on. You still got to do your work. You still got to bring the human to it and your knowledge and your judgment and empathy and all that other stuff. But I see it just doing that. You're just doing that heavy lifting at the start, that manual work at the start where you go off and you pull stuff in, but you still need the person. I don't see it replacing that anytime soon.
No. And I do agree, Mark. It can sometimes give you that starting point, when you just don't know where to start. So, yeah I agree.
Yeah. Straight away. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That blank page block you get. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's talk about PowerPoint. So I spend, when I do my Microsoft 365 Evergreen presentations for clients, I spend a lot of time summarizing it in Word. Despite what you said, I do use Word. So I summarize it into there and I pick out all the best bits and I put them onto a slide, and we've got a title and we've got different parts of that, including predictable parts like the main points and a date, and then supporting images. I like the images to appear as certain points, as certain bullet points appear. They take forever, okay? And then some of them, I then cherry pick them for someone else to present at a different type of meeting, but so I have to put in loads of speaker notes in the bottom for them to be able to do that. And then sometimes I need to create a summary slide at the end, so just to recap on everything I've talked about.
Yeah.
Now imagine me being able to just say to PowerPoint, so based on this document here, I want a slide for each section, pull out the main points, make sure you got the date at the bottom, here's your images, show an image every time this changes. I want you to also pull in a big chunk of text, speaker notes at the bottom, maybe 500 words to cover the whole topic, and I'll like a slide at the end that summarizes everything. Right, I've still got to check it. I'll still double check all the transitions, but I can spend time making sure the content is better. It's more interesting. I could maybe do 2 sets. I could go on and do another piece of work instead of sitting on that. I'm super excited about the PowerPoint side of it. And some people, Kirsty, can't work at PowerPoint. They've just never had course to do it, but they've got something to say. Their message, their information is amazing, but they're just not creative enough to get it out there. And maybe that's holding them back a little bit. But I think it's going to help so many people. The people who are already using it, people new to it. You can hear it in my voice, I think, Kirsty. I can't wait for the PowerPoint one. But I'm going to pause for breath.
Okay. I mean, that wasn't bad, but I'm going to have to say I'm going to top that with Excel, because Excel,
I doubt it. Go on.
I like it.
I just see lots of boxes with some numbers in. What are you going to
I
do with that?
know. Oh my gosh, there's so much we can do. So we can get Copilot to analyze our data. We can get it to look at formulas, and it can create and do different things. It can create and drive different outcomes from your original formulas. It can identify trends, a whole range of different things. But thinking of some examples that we could do in Excel. So I could have, and I do this quite a lot, I've got loads of information, and let's say it's sales data, and I want to put that into a table. Very similar to what you're saying in PowerPoint. Yes, I can put it into a table, and I might change my columns around, but it never looks, oh my gosh, that's amazing. So Copilot apparently will break down your data, put it in relevant columns and rows, and also insert it in a wow table. So that should be interesting. We can also get it to, for example, generate a chart to help visualize some data. But again, we're not talking just about a Kirsty, let's insert a chart or a graph in Excel. Apparently, it's going to be something wow. And then lastly, we can also, for example, get it to look at formulas, as I said before. And then I could say, I don't know, give a simple example, but I could have a growth rate, and it could be a variable growth rate. And I want it to say, okay, how could this impact my gross margin? And again, it will work it out for me. Some of that stuff I don't even understand myself. So I'm hoping Copilot can do for me.
I heard of another example of someone asking it to say, look at this data over the last 5 years. Show me the anomalies and what you think might have caused it. Of course, you've got to have really good data for that. But I think it's. I don't spend a lot of time in data. And I joke about it, but I think that's going to be awesome for people. For some people, it will be. But let's talk about most of the people. There are people, Kirsty, apparently, who are still using an app that's been around, or a technology that's been around for 35 years or whatever it's been, who aren't using Microsoft Teams, and they're still sending emails for everything. Okay, so let's talk about those folk. So let's Copilot for Outlook. So let's say you come back off holiday.
Yep.
And you've got a gazillion emails, because these people are sending these emails because maybe they haven't worked with the Inform team and I don't know any better yet. And they're sending and like someone sends out an email to everybody, and everyone replies to everybody else, and everyone else replies to that reply, and they just keep going back and forth. And like you look at it, and there's like 120 emails for this one topic. You could say, summarize that thread for me. Give me the main points and show me different people's point of view.
Okay, so I'm going to interrupt you. That is amazing.
I know.
Carry on.
Yeah, it will be amazing. Well,
yeah,
email hasn't evolved very much, and I think this will be awesome. Okay, so maybe you've got a lot of emails to respond to. You can just tell it to respond in a positive manner, agreeing to the main points, flesh it out. I want it to be this length, in a real nice, friendly tone, or politely decline that offer and explain that I'm on holiday. Or you can get it to do stuff like that in a nice way. You can organize stuff in there. I think I think that taming email, for me, the taming of email is what's going to be great. And if you're really short time, you could just say, okay, and I know you can do this manually, but just show me all the emails from my boss and the emails that relate to project XYZ. Bang, done. Or give me a summary of those. So why don't you drag people into the new century with our next app?
So Teams. So obviously Teams is about collaboration. So although Teams is probably one of the newest applications for us here in Microsoft, there's quite a lot that we can do with regard to Copilot in Teams. For example, again, similar to Outlook. So Outlook to me is an unnecessary evil. Is that we have to have it. I love Outlook, but it is a pain that you've always got to use it alongside Teams, because at the end of the day, Teams is more about your collaboration. But what I can do is, let's imagine I've missed some meetings in Teams. Copilot can now summarize what I've missed in those meetings. Oh gosh, that is really good. So looking forward to that one. It can also, apparently from your data from teams, it can create a table of pros and cons that have been discussed with regard to that meeting. Again, nobody's going to have to take all these meeting notes. Copilot's going to do it for us. It can also suggest next steps. So if we've got actions in that meeting, or if decisions have been made in that meeting, then Copilot can actually then suggest next steps for the next meeting. Very exciting also. I keep saying very exciting, but it is.
But it is exciting, you're right. I love the idea of coming back after a couple of weeks off and teams, you just asking, what have I missed? In meetings, whatever else. I just think I really do think that's exciting.
And surely that will increase productivity.
Yeah. So, like I say, I'm definitely a glass half full kind of person. I see people spending less time catching up, less time looking for stuff, and more time doing work that matters. I don't see for smart organizations, I don't see less people doing work. I see the same amount of people doing better, more meaningful, more productive work that takes the organization forward. I think the organizations that have that view are the ones that are going to flourish. I think not the ones that say, "Oh, I can get rid of some people." I think they'll just die a slow death, excuse me, while everyone else elevates themselves through this rather than just makes themselves cheaper. Okay, so far, so good. Any concerns?
Well, I do have. Well, I was gonna say I do have one. I don't have one. I mean, I just let it go past me. But I think you might get on your high horse, and the reason being is it's permissions. Everybody asks about permissions.
Right. So yes, I don't get on my high horse about permissions. They're really important. I get on my high horse about organizations not teaching people about permissions. So this type of thing used to come up a lot with Delve, and they say, "Oh, it showed somebody a document they weren't meant to see," and SharePoint searches let people see things they're not allowed to see. So Microsoft 365 only lets you see what you're allowed to look at, for example, certain these files. And if you see a file, it's because someone's got the permissions wrong or put it in the wrong place. Okay, and organizations should be teaching people the concept, the idea. So it doesn't matter what application or service goes on the top, those rules, you can only see what you can see. Your search results only show you what you can see. Those rules apply to anything new that comes along. And this is the same, folks. I will ask it, I can ask it, what's happened in the last week on the XYZ project? Well, maybe there's a part of the XYZ project that's more classified than I'm allowed to look at. It won't show it to me. For me, it might not even exist. Okay, so that's what I get on my high horse about. Just to be clear, folks, I don't mind permissions. I just wish organizations would do a better job of explaining them to people.
I zoned out, Mark. I zoned out.
Okay. So, anything else?
I have one last question. Yeah, I do have one last question. And I keep hearing this, and a lot of people say it to me, and I can't really answer it. And so many people are saying that AI is going to make loads of jobs being made redundant. Would you agree?
Okay, so I don't doubt that there will be some. I've told you about the types of organizations I think that will happen. I think there'll be a change. Okay, I think I think generally speaking, the productivity of workers is going to go up, and I think the world will benefit from that. Some jobs will no doubt shift; it's almost inevitable. But new ones will be created. The increase in productivity and ability in this area will hopefully take some of the jobs that go from this area. So I think someone did a website showing each technological advance over the last century and all the headlines about the doom and gloom that's going to happen after that. And we seem to have survived every one, and people are still working. I think it's going to be the same. There'll be a bit of pain initially, but I think jobs will just shift. So I talked about the two types of organizations, the ones that will use this to save some money. I think they will stay where they are. Others will use it to be more productive. Those companies are going to do well. But I think you're going to see these micro companies who've started with this ability. They've started with this really super efficient way. And I think they're going to have like explosive growth because they're going to do so much with so little right from the start.
Okay.
But straight up, Kirsty, I don't know. I've seen I've seen every type of prediction. I don't know.
The only thing is, I will say is, do you remember Tomorrow's World? And don't even go there and say that you're too young.
Tomorrow's World. I'm way too young for Tomorrow's World. I didn't watch that every Wednesday night when I was a kid at all.
No, exactly. So on Tomorrow's World, they got the CD and they put jam on it. And they said, right, CDs are going to take over the world. And then they also said robots are going to take over the world. Now, okay, robots have been introduced, let's say, into manufacturing. Apparently, you can get robots now to paint your nails, but they haven't taken over the world. So how I see it is, I don't think AI is going to take over the world, but who am I?
Mm-hmm. Lots of exciting opportunities. There's going to be change.
Yeah.
Of course, there's going to be change. But in my head, it's just going to raise the level of the sea. Organizations, well, big organizations will change slowly. Public sector will change even slower. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting. Yeah, and I think people have got to be aware of it though, and maybe just check it out. And if nothing else, just make sure you follow the Inform team. And as when we can actually give you live demos and tell you more about it, then we'll do that. But definitely keep up to date with it. Okay, so I want to take you back. When can we get it?
Okay, so I did do a Bing chat and asked it when it was going to be available.
It's already started, people. Kirsty's outsourcing her work to chat already. I like your style, Kirsty. You've only done about half an hour's work today, haven't you?
Exactly. Inform won't be paying me; they'll be paying Bing. But apparently, according to Bing, Windows Copilot is going to be effective from June 2023. But currently, all we've been told is Copilot for everything else, business chat, Microsoft apps, will be available to the general public later this year. But other than that, that's all we know.
Yeah, that's all I've heard as well.
Yeah.
Okay, Kirsty, do you have anything else to say to the people before we wrap up?
No, we need to go because it's coming up to, we've been on this call for a very long time.
Okay. Right, so folks, if you would like to know more about this topic, maybe you're interested in AI governance, or you want some help adopting Microsoft 365 and Teams in general, then get in touch with the Inform team and we can give you a one-to-one and we can see where we can help you. But for now, folks, we hope you enjoyed that and we hope to see you on the next one.
Bye. Thanks, Mark.